Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here and sit down with me. Grab yourself something hot or cold to drink, whatever you need. Today, we're going to conclude the second octenary, The Young Man's Way. We've been talking about this all week, and so today we come to the very last verse, verse 16. But now I'm going to read verses 15 and 16, because what we have here is we have the Be It Resolved section. Actually, we had the Be It Resolved section in the first octenary in verses 7 and 8, and we have it again here in 15 and 16. So let me read 15 and 16, and then I'll come back and make my comments. I will meditate upon your precepts, and I will look to your ways. In your statutes will I delight myself. I will not forget your word. All right, so we have here the Be It Resolved section. These we have in verses 15 and 16, the 4 vows that this man makes to keep his way clean. So how can a young man keep his way clean? Well, by keeping it according to your word. And that's the very first thing in verse 9, and then we sort of unpack that a little bit in 10 through 14. Now in 15 and 16, he makes a resolution. He says, be it resolved that, in a sense. Now, those words aren't here in the text, but it's the idea. I'm going to do these things so that I might keep my way clean, so that I might keep your word. I might keep that way according to your word, because I don't want to go off the garden path. I don't want to go off down the way, into bypath meadows, just like Christian did in Pilgrim's Progress. I want to stay on the path in your way, and that way in my heart must be protected. And how do I do that? Well, I'm going to make a vow. And here's my vow. I will meditate on your precepts. I will look to your ways. I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. So he makes these 4 vows that he's going to keep his way clean. And how does he do that? With the word of God. Precepts, ways, statutes, word. So those things, meditate, look, delight, and not forget. So he's going to keep in mind and do this work in his heart so that his way might be made clean. So we have the 4 vows, the 4 resolutions here at the end of this second octenary. Now in the first one, we were studying about how to keep the Word of God. And we had 2 vows there at the end in 7 and in 8 in that first section. And those vows were, I will give thanks to you. And then verse 8, I will keep your statutes. So in keeping the Word of God, he makes 2 vows of thanksgiving, number 1, and of keeping, number 2, keeping the statutes. Here, from the young man's section, he says, these are the things that I'm going to do. And he gives them to us, boom, 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 just there in 15 and 16. In your statutes I will delight myself. I will not forget your word. This is, again, the strength of meditation. Because as we meditate on the Word of God and we think about it and we apply it to ourselves and we dig deeper into the thoughts that are behind those words and we say them over to ourselves so that we don't miss anything. We want to draw out all that goodness that's in there. When I was a young boy, that we had a fence along the back part of our property, and that fence every year was covered with honeysuckle. And that honeysuckle was absolutely delicious when it would bloom. And me and the boys in my area, we would gather together and we'd go to that fence where the honeysuckle grew, and we would find the white and gold blossoms, and we would pull that middle stem right out of the center. And at the very end of that stem, as we pulled it out of the center of the honeysuckle, would be the sweetest nectar you've ever tasted. And we would just go down the row, picking out those stems and sucking off that sweet nectar, which of course is why the hummingbirds and the other insects, the nectar-gathering insects love that so much because it's so sweet. And so that's the idea in meditation. You take the time to pull out that little stem and harvest all that goodness that's on that thing. That's the Word of God. That blossom is the Word of God. Get in there and get that sweetness for yourself. It's marvelous, and it will do you good. All right, join me again next time, and we're going to look at Psalm 119 in the Gimel section, our third octenary, next time on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.